welcome to this update video this morning. I hope you're doing really great, and we're going to be talking about the tropics. So we're looking at the National Hurricane Center's graphic, and we have an area highlighted. So I had mentioned yesterday that we would eventually see the National Hurricane Center marking an area based on the trends we were seeing with the ensembles for the models. And so here we have an area now marked to watch as we're going to be heading through this week and especially into next week. That could be a problem for the Caribbean. So we're going to talk about it, and let's get straight into the details. And we're switching to the satellite imagery here. There are two tropical waves out there, one near the Cabo Verde Islands, another one is further to the west, closer to the Caribbean, but it's not sustaining a whole lot of activity. But as we know, with the tropical waves, as they approach the Caribbean, they may help to increase rainfall activity, so that may eventually happen for especially the Lesser Antilles. And then as we take a closer look into the region, we can see that there are some showers and thunderstorms around here and there, parts of Haiti, Central America, near Jamaica, and even into parts of the Bahamas as well. It's been quite active there earlier this morning. Elsewhere, nothing much really going on aside from a few passing showers. But as we head through today, let's go on to the rainfall forecast. And here we are seeing it. So we can see all these colors around. So if you saw my update video yesterday, I always mentioned that the more color we see indicates more rainfall activity. So more of those red shadings indicating rainfall amounts probably up to or just around an inch across parts of Central America, including Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and maybe not as much rain, but still some downpours and thunderstorms possible in parts of Costa Rica, Panama, the offshore islands of San Andreas and Providencia, even headed to the Bay Islands of Honduras and the Keys of Belize. We could see some showers around there. Could also be active, especially this afternoon, in parts of Jamaica as well as the Cayman Islands. So there could be some showers and thunderstorms around. Similar thing for Cuba, especially in the west. And then as we head up to the northern Bahamas, going to parts of South Florida, it's a bit colorful there as well. And we already seen that for the northern Bahamas. There is some activity. There's a little blob of some showers and thunderstorms right there. Further south, not as much action. Headed to Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. Maybe a few scattered showers and thunderstorms later today, and then through much of the Lesser Antilles, it may be pretty wet with some showers streaming in from the east, as well as a couple thunderstorms. ABC Islands, unfortunately, not a whole lot of action anticipated for today. It's been very dry and hot in the area, which are the typical weather conditions to expect. But of course, we need some rainfall relief every now and again. And then as we head to northern South America, Colombia, Venezuela, through the Guyanas, it is likely to be active as we're going to be heading into later today. So that is what is going on right now. That is what is expected in terms of rainfall activity. And focusing on this newly marked area now. So as I said, area to watch. We can see that as of now, it is given a 20% chance of formation, and that's because it is newly highlighted. And notice that we're not seeing the X. X usually shows where the area of low pressure has formed. So that airflow pressure is expected to form by the end of this week, going into next week. And through next week is when we could see development as the system approaches the Caribbean. And that airflow pressure could form in association with the newest tropical wave that has emerged off of the African coast. And we're seeing here that the system could make a general westward to west-northwest trajectory, and it could be a problem for the Caribbean if it actually develops and comes very, very close or enters the region. So we could see a track to the Caribbean, probably similar to what we saw with Ernesto. But it's important to know that we are pretty far out. Even though, yes, development is expected, we're still far out. So we don't know the exact intensity or trajectory of the system, but we do have a general idea of the short term for when that low pressure area does actually form within the coming days. Let's look at what models are showing though. First, we have Euro, and here we can see all these different L's showing an airflow pressure forming by Saturday evening. So as we're going to be heading to the weekend, and we're also seeing another cluster of members just offshore Africa. Now, as we're going to be heading to next Wednesday, so we're going pretty far out here, we can see all of these different members, a lot of them too. And when we're seeing a lot of them, especially consistently, that's usually a sign that we may actually see something form. There's pretty decent agreement among the ensemble tracks. And we can see that a pretty decent amount of these take the system into the Caribbean. So as I said, the exact trajectory not known, but this could be a problem for the Caribbean if it develops and heads more on a westward or west-northwestward track. It could be a problem for the Caribbean. And once we have a dominant area of high pressure to the north, that is what allows for a more westward track of the system. We still see that next cluster, but they're not showing something very strong following behind. Heading on to the GFS ensembles now. For the same time, we can see not as much members for GFS. Nonetheless, they're a bit dispersed, and they are expecting that we could see development of maybe a tropical storm headed towards the vicinity of the Caribbean, and then something else trying to follow behind. And for the icon model, looking at the model run, as they're going to be heading into next Tuesday the 3rd, it is showing what appears to be a tropical storm making its way within the vicinity of the northeastern Caribbean islands. And we see that next airflow pressure just to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands, well behind it. So Icon is expecting development within that similar time frame. Likewise, for the Canadian model, it's not showing something very defined up to the 3rd. It shows like just a trough there trying to get itself together, but we see a closed center and something actually developing even more as we head to Thursday the 5th of September. So we can see here that we have some decent agreement in terms of development for next week. We now have an area marked, so the confidence is slowly increasing in this, and it's not something surprising to see. We're heading to the peak month of the hurricane season, so this is something that was kind of bound to happen. That's when we typically see the most activity during the hurricane season. So again, guys, we could see something develop as we're going to be heading into the new week. We have that new area to watch. And as for the Eastern Pacific, we still got Hurricane Gilma out there. So there's Hurricane Gilma and Tropical Storm Hector. So as of right now, Gilma is currently a Cat 2. It's still a Cat 2 hurricane with maximum sustained winds up to 105 miles per hour. And the day is moving westward at 10 miles per hour. So it should remain a hurricane. But as we head into later today, local time for Hawaii, for late on Tuesday, it is likely to weaken back down to a tropical storm and become post-tropical going to the latter part of the week. But then the remnants of it could make their way close to the islands of Hawaii by Friday, maybe going into Saturday as well. So Gilma is still out there. Fortunately, it's not expected to hold on much to that hurricane intensity while it's going to be approaching the islands, but it is going to be weakening. So that is basically it, guys. That's what I wanted to share with you in this update video on the tropics. The Eastern Pacific still has its tropical cyclones out there, and we've got a potentially new system that may develop by next week in the Atlantic, and it could potentially be a problem in for the Caribbean. So heads up, and I'll definitely be keeping you posted as time goes by. So that's it for now, and I hope you found this video to be informative. But if you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll get to you when I have the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.